And we're live.
We are live for our first book club. I am so excited.
I got my book. Y'all got your book?
I have to tell y'all, this was Kay's idea to do a book club, and I am all for it. We've both been avid readers as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
And I've enjoyed getting into this book. Now, I'm very familiar with Susan Mallery. I have read lots of her books, but I have to say this one is different from any of her others.
Yes, it's a different. I've read a few. I know that I have because I read all the time. And her name is very familiar. When you see it, it's a name you can't forget. But as y'all come in, by the way, say hello. And if you're watching the rewatch, just say hashtag rewatch. But this one is different from all of her other books I have read. I don't know if she's moving into a different style. I don't know if something happened in her life, and this book was really laid on her heart. But I thought the first five chapters are really about character development. It really took. Thank goodness we decided to go with 5 for this first.
Yeah, because those first, I think we said 2 in the beginning, and the 2 really didn't get far enough into it.
I had a hard time getting into some of it. I mean, it took me 3 days to read the 5 chapters because I kept falling asleep. But I am tired from the weekend we had. But we're developing and bringing in those characters. Who would you say is the main character in the book? And the book's about
probably Finley.
That's what I'm thinking.
I'm thinking Finley. I think Jericho's been brought in as her love interest,
possibly,
or
it hasn't
friend.
Gotten that far
yet. Yeah, they may not get there.
I don't know.
Based on other Susan Mallery books I've read, I just have a feeling maybe he's going to be her love interest.
That's kind of what I was thinking.
He's been through some stuff himself, and so is she. And then Sloane is the sister of the sister effect.
Yeah.
But I think she's a minor character. I mean, it's going to bring her in, obviously, because it does show the things that she's thinking and the things she's going through. But so far, my feeling of it is that Finley is the main one. What do you guys think? I see we got 2 people in the room.
Y'all say hello when you come in.
Yeah, say hello. Tell us what you think about who the main character is going to be.
Okay, there are 2 characters so far that are around our age group, the fabulous 50 plus, and that would be Molly's mom and what's his name? Jericho's mom is introduced because remember she's trying to bring peace in her family. So both of these moms, I don't know how old his mom is. I haven't seen that yet, but I saw that Molly, who is Finley's mother, she is trying to bring about, I guess, she's kind of a self-centered person and she didn't totally raise her children. But at this point, maybe she's trying for reconciliation, like bringing her dad back into the fold. That definitely happens in chapter 5. So I'm not giving anything away as long as you've read the first 5 chapters. But the grandpa, his name's Lester. He comes back into the story, and he's in his 70s. So the things these characters are experiencing, honestly, I thought Molly would be older than 55 when you read it, right?
That's why I just went back and looked at the copyright to see when this book was written. Yeah. Because honestly, Molly reminds me more of our mothers. And I think that we've changed, like we've talked about in previous episodes of Fabulous 50 Plus, that we are not like other generations that are our age, because some of the things they do I don't agree with. Like Molly had left her children when they were young so that she could go chase her own dreams. And then also, I don't agree with Jericho's mom trying to get him to come around when his brother cheated on him with his wife, and now just because they decided they're in love and going to get married, he thinks that he should be his best man. Well, no.
I think there's some, just based on the first 5 chapters, because I really didn't cheat and go ahead, reconciliation seems to be one of the themes of the story, right? So reconciliation is important in the story. I'm sorry, y'all, there was something popped up on the screen. But
we had hoped it was a comment from you.
So reconciliation is important, or one of the underlying themes, maybe getting the families back cohesive and not so torn apart. And they've all been torn apart by internal mistakes that have been made.
All kinds of different things.
Unforgiveness or forgiveness, maybe that's another theme. Because we were talking about earlier, Tricia and I, it's like, at what point is it beyond forgiveness? Or can you forgive and you can move on, but you never had anything else to do with those people?
You just decide enough's enough.
Enough's enough. I mean,
I do understand, and I'm not giving anything away. This is in the first 5 chapters that Sloane had a drug problem.
Yep.
She ended up going to jail because of it.
Yeah.
And she ended up leaving her small child because of it.
And Aubrey is the child. She's at 8 at the point in the story where we start out, because everybody has a life before that and after that.
And you see those interactions between Finley and Sloane, and you can see that Finley is like over it. Yeah. And I can understand that because I have 2 family members who had the drug problem, and I got to that point with both of them. And it's not easy. I mean, I'll be honest enough to say one was my child. And once you get to that point, you've been hurt so much, you've dealt with so much that if you can say enough's enough, that means that you have walled off that part of you to protect it. And it's hard to go back. It really is. So I can understand where we're seeing Finley at this point with Sloane. I understand how she feels. I really do.
Yeah, I mean, and I was thinking, okay, they introduced these 2 families, kind of. They introduced more Finley's family, like the mom, Molly. We've got her sister, Sloane, that she has a definite conflict with. I think she kind of holds it against her sister that she left her child once, first of all, because their mother did that to them. And it's kind of repeating itself. It's history repeating itself. Hey, Linda, we're talking about our book, The Sister Effect, today.
She says she hasn't started reading the book yet, but she loves to watch it. We're happy to have you here. We will be kind of spoiling the first 5 chapters,
but only the first 5.
Yeah, it's only the first 5.
Real easy to do. So Sloane and Finley are sisters, so they're the sister effect that's going on. Currently, Finley, I think, has hard feelings, and she's really just done with Sloane. Sloane left her child, which is the same thing their mother did. So it's like, you're just letting history repeat itself. So we've got that kind of, what do they call it? Generational curses. It's like it's going on through the family. Then Finley is a person, I thought this was funny. Her name's Finley, right? And she flips houses from what I can tell in the first 5 chapters, and she works in construction when she's not flipping her own houses. So I labeled her Finley the fixer-upper. And that's what she kind of did in her family, even with people, like her taking care of her niece, who's 8 years old and needs a constant supervision because her mother is no longer in the picture because of the drug use and stuff.
Well,
so she's definitely Finley the fixer-upper
in those first 5 chapters of showing who she is and how she got to be that way. Yeah. She's had a lot of hurt. Her mother left her when she was a child, and she kind of felt like she had to take care of her little sister because she left her with her grandfather, and then she loved that grandfather because he took care of her. But then when they were teenagers, her mother come back, and they were forced to make a decision between their mother and their grandfather. And they loved their grandfather for taking care of them.
That was really tough. And then the grandfather just takes off. So he abandons them. And I'm like, what? And then the point we are in the book, of course, is when the mother decides he's got to come live with him because he's now sick and frail, and he got back in touch with the family.
But that's not out of the goodness of her heart.
No, because Molly definitely has some underlying issues. Molly left her children a lot when she was younger. She's an actress. She's a college professor. She never had great success in Hollywood, from what I can tell. And that just irks her, even when her students do better than she does.
Well, she's kind of a narcissist.
Jealousy.
Let's be honest.
Yeah, she's kind of a narcissist.
She's kind of a narcissist.
She really is. Yeah. And then there is luckily some support for Finley, and that would be her friend Kelly.
Yes, thank goodness she has Kelly.
Thank goodness. Kelly is her tribe. Yeah. Because I don't know if her mother even, I mean, she lives with her mother, but that's because it tells you in those 5 chapters, her sister did some terrible things when she was on drugs. She stole the work van that Finley had and crashed it. All the tools were gone. She hawked them, I guess, and got the money, just pennies on the dollar, which got Finley in all kinds of financial trouble.
And I think I don't even know if it was it hers or was it the company she worked for?
I think it was the company she worked for.
And she had to take responsibility for it and pay it back, because that's where she's at now, is paying this back, and it's put her in an extreme financial position.
And that's why she's living with her mother.
But she did just sign on the house. So she's working on getting things better, but I think it's the house that she's going to flip.
Yeah, that's what it said. She said she was definitely not moving into it. And her friend Kelly's like, why not? And in my mind, I was thinking, why not? Because
get out from under your mother.
Yeah, and her grandfather who's moved back in, and she's always got to deal with Sloane at some point, because Sloane does get Aubrey occasionally.
Like every other weekend or something.
And you would think as long as they've been apart and she's 8 years old, you would almost think she would by now start calling Finley mom, but she doesn't.
She doesn't, and she loves her mother.
She does.
And I can say, because of my son's issues, he hasn't been there for his children, but they always loved him.
Yeah.
And they always wanted to spend that time with him, and it always hurts. And I even had some of the same issues with my mother. And growing up, all I wanted was her attention. I loved her. I wanted her attention. I mean, when I became older, I became more hardened and it quit being important to me. But as a child, it was very important to me. So I can understand Aubrey's need for her mother's attention.
True. So we looked around and we found some questions based on these 5 chapters that we have read. And one of them was, how is Finley and Sloane's relationship introduced? Because that is supposed to be the heart of this book. It's the sister effect. And boy, I mean, I was thinking it's kind of introduced in conflict, right? I mean, there's tension, there's a lot of past hurt, and kind of, I want to say kind of a one-sided relationship, really, because it always seems that one's always been the taker and one's always been the giver.
Well, yeah, and it's pretty obvious who's.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Finley is such a responsible person. Yeah. And she takes on things. She's an older child. We both understand that. We're both older children. Yeah. And so she takes on those things and she takes them to heart. Yeah. I mean, she's even took responsibility for her mother. Yeah. In some ways for her grandfather. Yeah. I mean, we haven't really got into that, but we're starting to kind of see it.
And one of the things, also, Sloane, we should give her a little credit, I guess, because she is almost a year sober, it talks about.
She is.
So that is to the positive. But it sounds like when she's talking to like her counselors and stuff, like she doesn't take it serious. Like she hasn't done the necessary steps to really heal.
Well, she's still not taking responsibility for everything she did. She's almost blaming it on Finley for being angry.
All those programs you go through, what's 12-step program or something? I don't know if that's what it's called, but something like that. Making restitution is a big part of it. That I know from not reading the book, but I know that from life. And you're supposed to go back and apologize to the people you hurt, and you're supposed to try to amend it, right? Fix it. You're supposed to go through the process. That's part of the 12 steps. And I think her counselor kind of alludes to that. You're not doing the work. All you're doing is not drinking, but you're not putting the work in.
Personal reflections, she's almost angry at Finley for the way Finley feels.
She is.
And she has every right to feel the way she feels.
Yeah.
And so part of you is like, okay, you need to grow up.
Yeah, when somebody does that.
You quit drinking, but you haven't grown up.
Yeah, that's true.
You're not taking
It's hard to trust people.
Yeah.
We always say trust is earned. You know, you don't get trust automatically.
Well, honestly, between sisters, you kind of do in the beginning. Yeah. But when you do something egregious the way she's done and you destroy that trust, then it's not just giving back. You got to prove that you can be trusted.
Okay. What does Finley's guardianship reveal about her, do you think?
That she's loyal, she's loving, she cares more about the people she loves than she does herself, honestly.
Yeah, I think so too. She's nurturing. Yep. And she takes on those important roles and responsibility. Yep. And honestly, she didn't have to do that. Nope. It's her niece and she is kin to her, right? And she's part of her, but nobody has to do anything. You make a choice.
Well, and considering everything she had went through from her sister.
Yeah.
And, she could have chosen and said, you know what, I don't even have a way of supporting myself anymore. How am I going to support a child?
Yeah, that's true.
And walked away.
Because you took my financial means of making, and she had to sell the house she was currently flipping at that time, just get money out of it and pay off some of the bills.
And ended up losing.
Yeah,
she could have made more if that had not had happened. So to me, Finley is very loving, even though she's very walled off. But she has a reason to be walled off at this point because she's been hurt repeatedly by the people who were supposed to love her and take care of her.
Well, she could be very bitter, and I don't see her that. I see her as, I got
Guarded.
these walls up.
I think she's more guarded.
Guarded. That's a good word to put it. She's not bitter. She's guarded.
Yeah.
And so there are some themes that have emerged so far in the book. I mean, we're only looking at the first 5 chapters. One is family trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a major one, especially how addiction just ripples through generations.
For both families, not just her family, but also for Jericho's family that we also were introduced to in chapter 2, I think, Jericho, and the things that he went through.
Yeah, and it's going through because they kind of met, and she was talking about, her messed up life or whatever. And he's like, "Oh, here's messed up for you.
I can top you on this one.
I can top you on this one." In a way, I almost think he can, just because it's so personal. Hurt.
I can't even imagine what he
went through because his own wife ends up marrying his brother, right? And
I mean,
he's going to.
He didn't even know they were cheating. They sit down and tell him, "Look, we've fallen in love with each other," and then and that's not bad enough. They're going to come back a few months later and say, "We're in love. We're getting married. And I want you to be the best man."
Yeah, because you're my brother. I mean, you should forgive me. I'm your brother. We're family.
How far does family go?
At what point is it too much? I think if that happened, I have 2 boys, and if that happened,
could you imagine?
I would never expect my boys to do that. I'd be like, "Look, my daddy always said, you make your bed, now you lie in it." And that's kind of the situation there. It's like, no, I would never expect one of my boys to then go and support their brother.
In there, in the beginning, the mother did side with Jericho.
Yeah. But then she's like, "Oh, we need our family all together." Mm-hmm. I think that is more Southern than anything. The funny part is these people are set in California.
Yeah,
and, we think of them as being maybe not as gushy as Southerners. I mean, I guess they do have a gushy side. We think family's everything, and you forgive them no matter what they do. And just to see that, that's interesting because they're all set in California. So it's kind of interesting.
But the mother just expects him to forgive because it's been long enough now. You should be over that.
Yeah. Kind of like when you lose a child, they give you 3 months and they go, "Okay, we need to move on now."
You should be over. Got to do this. We don't need to do this.
So family trauma is a major one. That's one of the themes. And then also there's forgiveness and trust on both sides, both families.
Just beginning to surface. You can
tell we don't know something
she's headed with that. You can
these broken relationships be healed? I don't know. I don't know if I could do it. And then one of the last things that's so important, and one of the reasons we picked the book, has to do with female strength, right?
Absolutely.
Finley is empowered. She's a capable woman. She's running her own business, and she's raising a child alone.
One that ain't even
pretty much. That's not even.
I mean, as a woman who was that single parent and had to raise a child on my own after my husband left me, I know how hard that is. I know what the struggle is.
Yeah.
And to add that extra layer, I mean, that's very commendable for her that she is willing to do that for someone else because that's hard. I mean, would I do it? Absolutely. Because children are innocent and children need to be protected and they need to be loved. And I would absolutely do it. But I do know how hard it is. And especially considering what the child's mother had done to her to put her in that position to start with.
And so Finley would be what you call the protagonist of the story, right? Yeah. So she's the main character. What do you think of Finley?
I like her.
Yeah.
I really do.
She's a strong woman.
I'm already praying for her, and I know that sounds silly because she's a character, but you're praying for her because she's got so much to deal with, and you want her to be able to find that love, someone to take care of her and help her out. So you're already
rooting, what I think.
And we don't even know what's going on with her and Jericho. We know they've met, and we know there's that spark there, but
I admire her loyalty, but sometimes I'm thinking, girl, you need to take care of yourself for a while, because you're always Finley the fixer-upper.
She puts everybody ahead of herself.
The book doesn't call her that, but that's what I call her, Finley the fixer-upper.
Well, she puts everybody ahead of herself.
She does. Everybody.
Yeah. It doesn't matter who it is or what it is. She puts them ahead of her. Hey, Bonnie. Yes, we are loving it too. I guess you just logged in. We're so happy to have you here.
We are.
Absolutely. We're loving it too. It's a lot of character building in the first 5 chapters, but you also start, just like we're sitting here chatting, and I feel like I know these people. Yeah. I know Finley. I know what Finley's going through.
Yeah.
And
I want to help her.
Yeah. What do you think, Bonnie and Linda? Who do y'all think are?
Who are you rooting for in this story?
Who are you rooting for? What do y'all think about Finley? What's your thoughts about her and how she is handling things? I know we're only 5 chapters in, but this far in.
So how does the author, Mallery, how does she set the emotional tone? It's a mix.
It's very heavy in the beginning.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. It starts off very heavy. I think there is, but maybe that's because we are eternal. Optimists. We're always looking for that hope.
Yeah, I want the happy ending.
And I mean, let's just be honest. Based on Susan Mallery's other books, you kind of feel
it's
like
got to be coming, right?
Go. Yeah, it's going to get better.
Yeah,
she's going to give these people a happy ending.
Yeah,
I mean, or at least we hope she is.
Yeah,
so, yeah,
and they're not going to dive too deep in despair. Maybe I don't know. Part of me is rooting though for Jericho that maybe they end up not getting married after all.
I think he needs some kind of happiness.
Yeah, I think that's the only way that family can really be spared is that couple really doesn't end up staying together. I mean. What do they say? If they cheat on you, they cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. I don't know. I keep hoping she's going to go away somewhere.
And you agree about that? Yes.
That's what I call her, Finley the fixer-upper.
I am rooting for Sloane to get her life together. And a lot of that is because of what I went through with my mom and my son. And I know how hard it is for a drug addict to get past that, or I've seen it. I've seen that struggle. And it hurts those people that love them terribly bad. You hate seeing them go through it. You're kind of, hey, Katrina, welcome.
Hey, Katrina.
It's fine if you're late.
Y'all are coming in late. Yes. It's fine. Just go back and watch the beginning and you'll see some of our thoughts on these first 5 chapters. And I think next week we're going to do 7 chapters. We're going to do 1 chapter a day. That's what we decided. Chapter a day. So if you start today and read a chapter a day, because y'all, I usually read fast. It took me a while to read these 5 chapters.
It was hard to get into it because there was so much buildup. Yeah. I think, though, now in chapter 5, when the grandfather has now come to live with them,
I think we've established most of the characters, right?
Moving forward, and things are really going to start moving. But going back to what Bonnie said, I do cheer on Sloane. I want her to change her attitude. I want her to quit being a victim, because she's not a victim. She's made a victim of other people. I guess some people does look at it as she's a victim of drugs, but as
I think it's alcohol, isn't it?
Is it alcohol?
She goes to AA.
Yeah, I think you're right. It is alcohol. I don't know. See, the ones that
at first I was thinking it was drugs, and I was like, oh, it's alcohol, which is a drug. Yes, it is.
No, I did not know that, Bonnie.
What's that?
She said that her husband has been clean and sober for 35 years. And maybe we should pop some of these up there whenever they say things. But I can't.
But that's amazing. And it is, what's the right word? It is a disease. Alcoholism is a disease. And of course, we want to have everybody healed from that. But I'm sure Kit took responsibility for what he had done, and he made all those restitutions and walked through those steps. I don't see this character yet. I have hope for her, though. Sloane, at first she's not doing that, though. She's kind of like, I'm going to go through the paces. I'm going to make it to 1 year, and everything's magically going to be fine.
Well, and it's like,
that's not true.
She's blaming Finley for how Finley feels. Almost like, get over it.
Get over it. Finley, why are you still mad at me?
I'm the one who's worked so hard to get to this point. You need to get over it. Even though all the things that she did to Finley, and Finley raising her child, she should be grateful for that.
Yeah,
she's almost resentful of it. So I'm hoping that that's going to be her character development. I'm hoping that she's going to see this and she's going to actually grow up. And that's going to be part of her character development. I really do hope that.
One of the reading guides we looked at said, do you see any foreshadowing? Foreshadowing we talked about in grammar school, and we talked about in high school during English. And it's like, is there any hints of what's to come? Maybe something deeper or something, I don't know, foreshadowing. Maybe there is a little bit in this story in the first 5 chapters, because we're thinking, I was thinking reconciliation would be a big thing, that reconciling these families and these members to their family, forgiveness. I don't know.
Healing those hurts. And a lot of time that's is finding someone else, because I had been divorced before I met my husband. one of my favorite songs is The Broken Road by Rascal Flatts. I feel like that is the anthem of my life. Maybe one day we can go more into that on our regular channel or the podcast. But I feel like that's the anthem of my life. And when I met my husband, the one that God intended for me, he healed so much of that for me. And there are days when I still feel like I'm struggling with that. But his love heals me. I still have nightmares from some of the things I went through. I ain't going to go into that now, but I still have nightmares. And in the middle of the night, when I start having those nightmares and I'm screaming out, he just wraps his arms around me and holds me tight, and it calms me down. And so I'm wanting that for Finley and Jericho. Yeah, I'm really wanting that.
And they have met briefly.
They have.
And in the first 5 chapters, so they have met. And that's foreshadowing, too, that something more positive is coming for both of them. But I do like these characters. I just struggled with them in the first 2 chapters. The first 2 chapters were kind of hard to get through, honestly.
They were. But she kind of drug it out in those first 2. But I guess she did have to build those later. These are very complex characters.
These are complex characters. So character development is very important so that we don't get later in the story and go, wait a minute, what? Yeah. Why is this important now? Exactly. But she did lay the foundation, I feel like, in this story.
Yeah, I think she's really done a great job of building this up and getting us to this point. I even want to learn more about the grandfather. I want to learn why he thought it was okay to make teenagers choose between him, who had pretty much raised them, and the mother who gave birth.
Well, and the mother also threatened them and said, if you choose your grandfather,
I'm gone. You'll never see me again.
Yeah, I'm gone. You'll never see me again.
So you got 2 teenage girls, and how are they supposed to choose between
And these are the 2 adults in their life.
Yeah.
This is their adult influence. Yeah. Horrible. How did they turn out as well as they did? Honestly, you're not a bit surprised that one of them turns out to be an alcoholic. You know? It's like, that's so wrong. That's so wrong. And then how did Finley turn out as well as she did? I don't know. That's just, and it's kind of true to some people I know in life. That's just.
There are people I know in life. Like I'll freely admit my my only granddaughter, because of the things that she lived through as a child, has made her really strong. And I am simply amazed by her at all times and how well she turned out. I would love to think I had something to do with that, but it's all her character. I mean, she's just such a strong lady. And honestly, I can see a little bit of Finley and her and Finley, and that they take on things and they take on too much responsibility and they beat themselves up if they don't do everything perfectly.
That's true. And there's an old story my dad used to tell because he was a minister, and he talked about identical twins that grew up with a father who was an alcoholic. And they both grew up, and one was very successful and had his own business. He went to college, he got a degree, just a really good person. And then the other kid becomes an alcoholic, just like his father. And they interviewed him and they said, you saw your father this way. He said, yep, I saw my father this way, and that it influenced me, and I turned out the same way. And the other one said, I saw my father this way, and I made sure I didn't turn out to be anything like him. So everything always comes down to a choice in the end.
Absolutely.
Right? You either choose the path you go, no matter what happens in life. And again, these are characters, they're not real life, but they're based on some real life characters, I can tell.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I think Susan Mallery has met some of these people in real life with a different name.
And honestly, in the very first couple of chapters, I was like, well, this might have been the best book for us to
I know at first I was thinking that too.
As we're getting there and it's developing, I'm really enjoying this, and I'm looking forward to seeing what happens. Yeah. Where they're going with this, what happens to these individual people. Y'all, I'm sorry. I know y'all see us rocking. We have this sitting on a table, and every time I put my arm up there, it rocks the table, which rocks the laptop. We found that the laptop's the best way for us to do live, so that's I just have to be more careful about doing that. But I'm looking forward to the next 7 chapters. I can't wait till next Wednesday. If y'all have some questions, please share them. If you have some thoughts, please share them. That's what this is all about. We want to see your thoughts, and we can even, bring some of those up next time. The other thing that I would like to ask you guys is about the time. when we set this time, we realize it's 2:00 on the East Coast, but it's not centrally, and it's not in Mountain Time, and it's not over in California.
We were trying to get kind of a middle of the day kind of thing so people could watch during their lunch hour. And we know that in the fall, at least, Trish will be doing her seasonal job, and that would allow her to come in around lunchtime and at least spend 30 minutes with us. Maybe not the whole time, but around 30 minutes. And we want you guys to be able to come in and, you know, eat your lunch. Maybe you sit in the car and listen, and you can type and share with us your thoughts on the book.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all can let us know how y'all feel about this time slot, it's 2 p.m. Eastern. I'm not going to say we're going to change it because honestly, it'll be kind of an overall thing, what works best for everybody. Yeah. We are looking at analytics, but we do want to make it where y'all can join in. I mean, y'all can see we love talking about what's going on in the book and stuff, but we want to hear from you too. And so if, of course, we're absolutely love if you watch it afterwards. You can read your book. You can join in afterwards. You can leave comments in the, down below. Let us know what you think. We can even interact that way. I am loving that you guys are replying to each other in the comments. Yeah, that means really so much to me, seeing how you're praying for each other. We had one lady went through on the last video and she commented on everybody's comment, and it meant so much to me. It made my heart so happy to see that, because we're building that community that's so important to us. Yeah. And it's not just for us, it's for you too. Yeah. Actually, we want it to be as much or more for you as it is for us. Mm-hmm. So Bonnie said that time works for her. I did see that Linda said usually she's working on Wednesday at 2, but she's glad she called us this afternoon.
Linda, are you in the Eastern time zone? I was just wondering what time zone you're in. Again, that's why we kind of picked it, because then that would be 1 for the central people. Yeah. And then the next 12. Time zone would be 12 for like the people in New Mexico where I used to live. Yeah. And then all the way to the California coast, it'll be 11 for them. Yeah. So we're trying to hit a sweet spot, but trial and error, we'll get there. Yeah. Yeah, but let us know if you have any comments on this book so far. We don't want to give away the next 7 chapters, but next week we'll come back. Central. Oh, I see. And we'll come back and
Linda's Eastern. So Linda's on the same time we are.
Okay. That's what I was thinking.
Around Robin Bookshare. I love that.
That's nice.
I love that. I also love out close to my house, there's one of the little libraries that sits outside of one of the little businesses out there, and you can put your books in there after you've read them, and you can pick up a book from someone else and be able to swap them out. I love it.
That's nice. I like that a whole lot. I love that I can go to, there's 2 bookstores here. Well, one of them's not really a bookstore. Ollie's is a discount store. And like this book normally is $25. But I got it for $5. Yeah. And they have some all the time there. There was another Susan Mallery book the other day, but I didn't buy it because I thought we needed a different author.
Well, we've already got a couple of things that we're looking at. Yeah. There was a book I read years ago, and it has been years ago, that I really want to do. It's by Fern Michaels. I love Fern Michaels. Mm-hmm. And it was called Pretty Woman. And when I first picked it up, I was thinking the movie, Pretty Woman. But it's not the movie. It's absolutely hilarious. It is definitely a strong woman and how she handles things that went on. So I've already put that on Kay's list, and I'm like, okay, I think we need to do this one for one, because it's a great book. If you guys have suggestions for authors or books, please let us know. And then for this next upcoming, yours was $7 on Amazon.
Yeah, the paperback was the cheapest one on Amazon. My sister got that one too. The download was like $25. That was so weird,
because I used to always get my books on Kindle, but I didn't pay it. I mean, that was more than
I always check, because sometimes it's cheaper on Kindle and sometimes it is not. Mm-hmm. We're going to talk about next week on the second Tuesday of the month on our regular show on Fridays. Every other month we do a movie review and a book review. It'll be a book review coming up, and we're going to talk about another service to get your books. So we're going to talk about that and how to do it more cheaply, because we're always looking for a bargain.
Absolutely.
And don't forget your local public libraries. I'm lucky the one is not too far down the road from me. I signed up, and I know when I was looking for, I'm not going to tell the name of the book because it's Trish and my all-time favorite book, and it's going to be the book review in a couple of months. And they were like, we have tons of books by that author, but not that one. And the lady actually ordered it to get it in because I spoke so glowingly about it. It's my favorite book ever. But
and speaking of time changes, we We had briefly considered changing this one, but based on what you guys are telling me, that would make it worse for us to change to the time we were looking at. We're better to stay at 2 because we were looking at moving it to 4, but then that's really going to throw everybody off. So we'll leave this one at 2, but for our other videos, all other videos that we've been releasing at 2, we're going to change that to a 7 p.m. release. So our Friday video that comes out with all the little segments in it and stuff, that'll be 7 p.m. on Friday. On Mondays, the podcast will come out at 7 p.m. and that is Eastern time. And then all of our little shorts are going to start coming out at 7 p.m. because according to the very brief analytics we have now, that is a better time for everybody.
That's when most people are watching.
Yeah. So we're gonna change that time, but we'll leave this one for now. And because we want to be able to do it live, but we also have husbands, so we can't do it at night every week. That would not work out. And so to be able to do it live, we have to do it during the middle of the day. And based on what you guys are telling us here, it looks like that's the best time.
Oh, look at you, Bonnie. Congrats to Bonnie. She is doing her very first flea market / craft fair this weekend.
You're going to have to send us pictures.
Actually, we're doing one pretty soon, too.
Saturday.
Yep.
We just did Pinners, and now we're going to be doing one this Saturday.
This Saturday. Yeah. This Saturday.
But the one this Saturday is local.
It is.
So we don't have to go out of town. And it's on a smaller event. Yeah. But I'm excited about that. We're going to get to
Good luck to you, Bonnie.
Yeah.
Good luck to both of us.
Let us know how it goes, Bonnie, and send us some pictures of your setup. I always love seeing everybody's setup. So,
yeah.
All right, ladies. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We had 6 come in. I'm excited about that.
That's our first book club release.
Yeah, hopefully it's going to continue to grow. We'll all be able to chat with each other. For next week, y'all read those next 7 chapters. I say a chapter a day, but I mean, you know me, I'll sit down and I might read them all 7 at one time. But I am trying to force myself not to jump too far ahead because with us sitting here talking about it, I know
that I don't want to give anything away. So I have not been jumping ahead.
Stop at where we said stop.
I did.
And so so we're going to go on through to chapter 12. If you just got your book and you haven't been able to do it yet, please go ahead and read up through chapter 12. And then we will pick up next Wednesday at 2. And we're going to talk a little more about Finley and Sloane and Jericho, Molly and Grandpa and Aubrey. Yeah. We're going to talk about that's another thing about this book. There is a lot of characters that are
a lot of hurt feelings too.
Yeah, really intermeshed with each other in this. So no, thank you, Bonnie and Linda. We appreciate you guys. Katrina, thank y'all so much. Thank y'all. And we have 3 that are chatting with us, 3 that are not. For the 3 of you who are not, we love you and we appreciate you too. And we can't wait to see y'all next week.
We will see y'all later.
Bye, y'all.
Don't forget to read.
Have a good weekend.
Bye.